Hi everyone, welcome to our fireside chat. My name is Kartika and I'm from LeadSquared's marketing team and I will be your host for the day. Today we will be discussing how to build a rich and simplified home loan borrowing process. So yes, I have our wonderful speakers here as well. Unfortunately, Mr. Ashish is not able to, we're not able to see him because of technical glitches. But either way, let me just quickly introduce them to you. We have Mr. Dominic Vijay here, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Heart Housing Finance. Hi, Dominic. Thank you so much for
Right.
joining us. Can you tell us a few lines about yourself?
Okay. As you said, I'm the Chief Technology Officer. I've been with this organization from last 8 years. We are purely into an affordable housing segment company, where very big scope we have right now in India, and we are tech-driven organization. Technology is our main USP. So but that's what I'll be speaking on also, how to simplify the home loan process, and how to especially the affordable segment which is not being touched by the technology. That's going to be the main thing what we'll discuss, and that's my role in this organization, to drive technology to the remotest village in the country. So that's where I come.
That is a wonderful goal indeed. Thank you so much for joining us, Dominic. We also have Mr. Ashish Kumar Nijavan, who is the Vice President of Key Accounts here at LeadSquared. Hi, Ashish. Welcome back to yet another LeadSquared webinar here. Glad to have you back. Please tell us a bit about yourself so that, if the audience does not know you yet, they get to know you a little better.
Thanks, Kartika. Hi, Dominic. Hi, everyone.
Right.
Yeah, hi. So I head the key accounts team for BFSI vertical at LeadSquared, and one of the key drivers that we also work towards is to partner with Dominic and the other housing finance companies here to actually help them also expand into and digitize and expand into this uh, a large distribution network that is there today, and how to reach the remotest part of India to actually help them disperse more and better, right? And also, while doing that, how do we digitize that whole journey? So that's, I think, part of my job also at what we do at LeadSquared, is how can we actually help partner with the likes of Dominic and team in the journey that they are today in.
Thank you so much, Ashish. Well, you heard from our speakers. Now, before we get to the actual session, I have a few pointers to the audience as well. Now, if you look closely to the right side corner of your screen, you'll have a few options there. The first one being polls. We, from the back end, I have my colleague Mayank also here. We'll be putting up a couple of polls. We'll publish them as we go on in the fireside chat. And please do respond to them because this is our way of just knowing you a little better. This is to all the audience out there. And also, the question tab is where you can put up any questions that you may have during the session so that our speakers can take them up towards the end of the actual discussion. And of course, the chat is where we can network. And that is all from my end, actually. I am handing the session over to Mr. Ashish. We can get started. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Ashish, you're on mute.
Yeah, hi. So I think the year 2022 was a phenomenal year for real estate, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
the demand for real estate was at an all-time high, and I think this was one of the years when we recorded the highest sales across the top 10 cities in India, and that kind of breezed the 2014 mark, right? We saw robust demand coming even from the tier two, tier three cities, and including in the affordable housing segment, right? So, Dominic, how do you see the year 2023 pan out, and in terms of the trend that we are seeing, which obviously means more real estate sales also results in more home loans that people buy, right? And it was all aided by the interest rates, which were fairly low at about a couple of years back. So how do you see that happening now?
Okay, Ashish. When you look at when you compare the figures for 21 and 22, 23 seems to be better than these 2 years. Post COVID, and there was a recovery period during 2022, and now I think 23 is given us a wide range. I mean, when I look at, because affordable segments are mostly governed by the schemes given by the government of India. Okay, when I look at that, I think the finance minister has allocated, I don't know, quite a huge amount of allocation of money has been given for the PMAY scheme, which is a boost to the this. So end of the day, when this goes up, the sales automatically hits our. So we also start. There will be more customers, more lending happening, loans, more new customers coming on board, and the widespread is there. So that means the market is open, and we start working on that. And there are some statistics which I went through, and like in Maharashtra coming out with around 4 lakh households under PMAY scheme in the year 2023, and affordable growth is already hitting an 13 to 15% by 2023. That's where we see a huge growth from the affordable segment, and especially this is happening more in the tier 3 and tier 4 cities, okay, where people are start exploring. These are certain places where which is not being explored to be these are unsecured or unutilized places which has been which is not today. We as a lending company, we start going to that level and getting lending the customers to that. But again, affordable segment is one way. Like sometime back, Honorable Prime Minister said every person in India should have own a house. That's why your CLS scheme came up. Then later PMAY scheme up. So all this put together, we see a bright. I mean, lending business is going to be in a big way. Again, the percentage wise, it's going to grow in a big way. When that grows, obviously everything gets into places. Then we'll have better portfolios. We'll have better rate of interest. Right now, the ROI is on a shoot up rate. I think 140 BPS. We are somewhere around that post RBI adjustment. I think once the volume starts increasing, you'll find the rate of interest also coming down, and you'll find more people coming. Today, any tier 3, tier 4 city, first thing as soon as they get into a job is to buy a house, irrespective of the size. They would prefer even going for 50 square feet area house, but they need to have. And then there's one more thing which is coming up, is the plot construction, where people have plots which has never been explored. Now people started constructing. So this is giving a boom to the real estate business, the lenders, and parallelly increasing the employment also to a level of think like especially at the lower level kind of where employment seems to be on the raise. So that's a few statistics which I went through before I could join this call. So I think as a tech guy, I think I would be able to justify certain things, because all of my years we keep talking on technology. Sometimes we talk statistics also.
No, that is very interesting. I think these are indeed very, very interesting stats that you shared, right? And this essentially means that I think this is another year where we can look forward to having a fairly good cycle. And we all have grown up with a dream of buying a home, so we can correlate when you said that everyone wants to have a home. And I think as Indians, I think that's the starting point when we start earning our salaries.
Correct.
You want to, that is very interesting. But what's the typical kind of demography or the profile of people that you see who are coming for the loan? Is it only the younger generation, or in the affordable housing segment, there's also this whole profile of people who don't have a formal employment, right? Yes. So you also see a lot of that trend coming up, and for those people wanting to buy a loan and getting that loan in the affordable housing segment.
Okay, see, when you look at that kind of statistics or the kind of survey what our business team has done, especially in the affordable segment, you find a lot of self-employed people trying to buy have their own house, whether it's a bigger one or a smaller one. So when you look at people without financials also, with a small business, for example, you look at a tea shop owner or a Ola driver who earns to a level of value. He first thing when he starts making some money, he looks at buying a house. That's where lenders like us come into picture to set up. And there are some people who are first to that credit for the first time, their credit. And these age groups are between 25 up to, it goes up to 45, 50. Because when you look at a person who's having a kirana shop, he's in the business for a long time, but his kids start buying a house. That's where you find, and all this is happening in the tier 3 and tier 4 cities. See, metros or cosmopolitan cities, when you look at Bangalore and other places, it's becoming too congested. You don't, it's purely populated, and you don't find a place. So when you start going out, like tier 3 cities where 20 to 30%, I think tier 4 cities is considered between 25 to 50% of population, where they call it a tier 3, and anything above that is below that is, I think, tier 4. So considering
Right.
that, you find the self-employed people, okay, the people without a proper financial, self-employed, and daily wage. I even seen daily wage workers, like for example, a sugarcane shop owner wants to have a house, okay, and a small restaurant guy wants to own a house, a roadside eatery wants to own a house. So there is a huge demand for this, and people think first thing is when they start earning, they feel that first thing is they should need to have a roof. That's one which is going to now their EMI payment, not paying, that's a secondary story. But the house which is going to have them, that's where the people start feeling. And the market is wide open. I see the younger generations, not the, I'm talking about the millennium people also today, whether it is an affordable or the premium segment. Millennium kids who are coming up, just as soon as you get into a job, first thing they is go for a house. House, car is the one first thing, top priority they do, and that's the right way. The younger generation, rather than putting money into here and there, they're well planned, and they know what's the future going to be.
Right.
That's
Right.
it, Ashish.
And no, that's very interesting also, Dominic, because first to credit is a big segment, isn't it? And
Yes, yes.
typically they always found it difficult or had to take a loan from the loan sharks. And being able to access the formal credit is such a huge boon, and that's a great service
Correct.
we do, to the country by enabling these people to get on board the credit.
That's why lenders
But
like
that,
us come into picture, where we try helping these
correct.
first-time borrowers, so they don't get into any kind of loan shark who, take more of this one.
Correct. And that also, I understand that, in the journey, what you also do is you also help in educating these customers in their life cycle, right? I know
Yes.
that's something you all also do. So can you also enlighten us a little bit on that, because during the life cycle, these guys are new to credit. They've just recently may not understand all the nuances. So how do you do the education, right,
Okay,
to these
Ashish,
people?
if I tell you the process what we follow normally, one is
Mhm.
to educate the customer, another is to keep the customer uh, in sync so that he doesn't do a BT. First is the way we operate with the customer, the way we onboard the customer, post onboarding, disbursement happens. Once a disbursement happens, there is a life cycle of at least minimum 5 years for a customer to stay with us. The first is
Correct.
we start off with the basic educations, awareness, like your EMIs to be on time, and how your credits are getting. How your credit bureau takes your data, and what all your EMI should be on time, so that anything default, whether you take a housing loan or any loan for that, consumer durable or any loan, if you don't make it pay the EMI on time, if there is any kind of check bounces or returns happening on their account, it is directly impacting the credit score. So when you don't have a proper credit
Right.
score, you don't tend to get any more lenders entertaining you. Okay, that's
Mhm.
the first thing which we build the thing in the customers. And we do a lot of awareness, like calling, talking to the customer, seeing that the loan life cycle. During that, we call it as a servicing kind of the activity, where we keep in touch with the customers, encouraging him to a customer for more than 24 months, we try building him, asking him to go for a top up loan, or trying to work out some kind of schemes, return on my ROI is trying to reduce that, or helping him out in going for another thing. So depending on the kind of financials, what we do is actually one thing I want to tell during this
Right.
lending process. When you are onboarding a customer, we always take a consent from the customer that we always review a financial. That means every 1 year or 6 months we start reviewing his financials. We'll see his behavior pattern, the income, what is he
Right.
getting, his commitments towards whether it is EMIs or whatever it is. On that basis, we start building a score kind of thing. So the customers, to some level, start having a what do you call it? They become very conscious. Yes, today the EMI,
Right.
and before a EMI cycle hits, I think from 25th we start an awareness calling to the customer, using multiple digital channels, so that customers very well aware on his EMI coming into. These are certain things which we did, and we also encourage them not to go for multiple loans at one point of time. Okay, you have a loan,
Right.
see that you repay it to the level, then last start going for a thing, and never borrow something which is more than your income, whether it is your family income, whether it is your annual income. Depending on that, we
Right.
try educating them, and Second thing is, marketing activity, a lot has been carried out, to them. What do you call that? Referral schemes kind of thing, which has been organized for the customers. So basically, and moreover, Ashish, the kind of customers we deal with, they
Right.
always prefer to have a personal touch. Okay, so
Right.
that is a loan officer, or I see, because loan officers are one who's always in touch with the customer, irrespective of the
Right.
disbursement, whether he's in the same company or different company. He's the guy who, and the customer service team keeps updating them what's happening, and guiding them, and especially during the filing of returns. We started this activity also. We help the customer see that they file the returns, downloading their interest certificates, giving them better technology driven access to this, so that they don't depend too much on the branch and all those things. So these are a few things which if we
Right.
updating. And I think the marketing term does a lot of flyers, emails, SMS, WhatsApp calling, robocalling. So customers always been updated what's happening, and he knows that, boss, there's a company by name Art where I have to owe money, I need to keep my bank funded. So these are certain things which we always keep updating the customers. So the customers are also in
But
a good way here.
no, that's great. That's great. I think it's very, very important to actually, keep them updated about the EMIs, as you rightly said, and having including your digital interventions to actually communicate to them and guide them through this journey. Because the moment, if they can maintain a good credit, they are obviously going to be able to,
Yes,
help themselves for other loans as per their needs, right? And
correct.
that really helps them.
Mm.
But that also brings us to the point about the digitization, right? So,
Mm.
as you go into the tier two, tier three cities and the rural areas, right? Getting and this is where the distribution comes into play, right? How do you reach to this customers, and how do you digitize the whole process? So today, if in these areas, how have you managed to digitize the whole loan process?
Actually, this one, like when Art has a financial organization, had a very clear roadmap from the day one that we'll be in the affordable segment and we need to find a digital roadmap to draw this. Okay, so like what we do is, especially in the tier three and tier four cities, we when I go on ground, we have an Android-based app where the complete loan
Right.
digital form have been digitized. It's a what do you call, master-driven app which has been digitized, enabled with multiple APIs, right from your CIBIL check to your eKYC, your PAN verification. Then what else you have? Your account aggregator, which is recently launched. These are certain APIs which we integrated with our system. And so whenever a loan officer who walks into the customer's place, and our kind of customers are mostly 60% of my business comes from a DSS. Okay,
Right.
another 40% is through multiple channels, customer service, and word of mouth and all those things. So whenever we get a lead, the loan officer or FOS who walks into the customer, he sees that he uploads maximum amount of documentation what is he get from the customer. See, because we automate your Aadhaar, we automate your PAN card. Today, everybody is got
Right.
an Aadhaar. Okay, today when you look at
Right.
the population, 80 to 90% people hold a Aadhaar,
Mhm.
and it is by default it is linked to your PAN card also. So that means you have a bank account, you have an Aadhaar, you can have thing, and the CIBIL score. The first time users we can always manage, but people who already borrowed, we use a CIBIL score. So the basic things
Mhm.
like your KYC, your credit bureau, the financial which is captured at the customer's doorstep, and there we start uploading the file. So the process which was taking around 7 to 8 days gets converted into a day's time, where we log in a file.
Right.
The time you log in
Right.
the file, there's an SMS which goes to the customer, and customer is updated on his complete this one. But during the underwriting, yes, underwriting is still not 100% digitized. The first level, that
Mhm.
a customer acquisition is being digitized to, I think I can say it is around 95% digitized, because I think 10 to 15% customers don't have proper documentation. That's where we start taking the physical documents, or we normally don't take, we
Right.
take a picture of that and upload it. So underwriting,
Mhm.
we are around 70% digitized, where we initiate automatic initiation of your technical, legal, then FI gets initiated, and they start working on that. Then your underwriting, I mean, during underwriting process, the financials, what we cover, that is being captured. There's a valuation done for the, depending on the kind of product they're taking, the valuation is done and it's been uploaded. So many things which is being done manually has been but you can't say it's been automated and given an option for digitizing those documents. So there
Mhm.
my digitization plays a very much. So from customer acquisition up to sanction, it is almost 70-80% digitized with the documentation what we have availability. But during disbursement, That's where we still are not 100% digitalized, where we're still working on it. But that also means gradually we are taking it off by bringing in the e-sign and e-stamp, which is really played a very
Right.
important role. Okay, now when you look at e-stamp, e-sign today, my a set of customers, a set of customers where they have the registered mobile number against the Aadhaar, so we get an e-sign done. And e-stamp we are rolled out, which is also helping, because today when you look at e-stamping, that's been used by most of the states today, and that's becoming mandatory for example, you talk about Gujarat,
Right.
or other states where e-stamp is when the physical stamp paper is stopped, it's only the e-stamp which has to be done. So this has helped us in
Right.
bringing in that technology. So for a customer to sign a loan document, rather than walking into my branch, or walking to out of my efforts, going there, getting the loan docket getting signed off, a physical loan docket getting signed off, he gets it done on the through an OTP, Aadhaar based e-sign and e-stamp, and all this has been recorded. Everything comes to that. So the process of after post sanction, before disbursement, the loan document is supposed to get signed, which takes to take maximum 8 to 9 days, because you have an applicant, co-applicant. In case your co-applicant is not available, he's out of somewhere, then your whole process gets delayed. So the technologies play a very important role in this. Wherever you are, irrespective of this, you get the e-sign and e-stamping done, and this is all valid for 7 days. Within 7 days, you get your thing done. So the process of taking around 3 to 4 days are reduced to a day's time, subjected to all the documentation which are available. Yes, there are certain technical glitches here and there which can always be overcome, because any technology is not 100% foolproof. So when you look at my loan journey from the time the customer acquisition up to the disbursement, I am 80% digitized, which includes your e-stamp, e-signing, then your account aggregator, your Aadhaar verification, PAN verification, the financial statement from the bank. So all this has been digitized. Only few, land records, we are still yet to get it done. But I don't know, there's no open APIs which is coming in for us to pull out the land. But there is a little bit of challenges, because especially this title deed and all that, that verification, getting it clear from the legal, that's where we there's a delay in that, which is a area of concern. Yes, I think I was reading some article where I found that almost all the states in India have the land records been digitized. Okay, now that open APIs are still not come. As per my knowledge, the APIs are not developed. If that APIs come in, then we will be, you can say it is 99% we are digitized. We don't have to wait for anything. Overnight, the disbursement can happen to the customer. And the fraud, you're talking about the fraud, you're talking about the misuse, everything becomes clear, very, very clear, and things. And this will have a boom for the real estate, the lender, and then the relationship. Once you have everything in place, no, disbursement will become very easy for us, especially other tier 3 and tier 4 cities. Premium cities, we are not much concerned about, because everyone is got. You and me don't have to do all those. We just have to use our this one, automatically everything goes. But unserved customers are there, where at the tier 3 and tier 4 cities who are first time credit borrowers, first time, or the small self-employed people. For them, all this is going to be a real helpful tool, and it's easy to disperse their loan. Otherwise, you'll find competitors giving you a better ROI and taking them off. That's where, technology has really helped us in doing it, but we still have to further upgrade it. And adoption is one challenge what we face, Ashish. Especially when it comes to the internal business team, when there's a pressure, they're trying to bypass technology because they want numbers to happen. But that also they're trying to get it in control and get things. That's how digitization is playing a role, especially in the affordable segment. And we get very good support from the regulators also, as well as the government of India. And yes, we're a long way to go.
That's great. I think 80% digitization of the journey and reducing from 4 days to 1 day is an amazing achievement, actually, because and that is true that with a lot of digitization that's happening around your e-stamp, and I think the digitization of property records is also, as you said, the land records and property records, that's already done in some places.
Done. I think today when I read it says that 23 states have been done. I don't know how far the data is. I'm not able to think accurate. Yes. Now I still have to cross verify many people. And if they have an open API, then we should. Otherwise, you don't have to go to the registrar's office, stand there, check the documents, get it vetted from the legal. Then that process has to be technology driven.
Yeah, and as a home buyer, I can tell you that the time it takes, the process of going to the registrar's office to get the registration, I think that's probably one of the longest process. And
yes.
And the registrar officer always also have technology related issues when the net connection goes down. So personally have an experience where I had to spend one full day and then go back after 3 days again.
And
So
then and they have the limited knowledge of technology. Okay, so
correct,
the
correct.
registers. So that one which we
Right.
need to actually, push it. Government should actually push that to the urban development has to come into picture and help us in doing it. See, all this is a boom to us actually. This will help
Mhm.
us to serve the citizens, especially fulfill the dream of our honorable Prime Minister. Everyone should have a house. So if all these are in place, and disbursement shouldn't be a problem for us.
Correct. And I think, as you rightly said, I think then the missing link only remains the property records digitalization, the land records and
Yes.
property records, and being
Yes.
available as an API to
Mm.
consume. And then we should be able to more or less
Yeah.
do 80 to 90%.
Mm.
The only thing I think that
This
still be left is physical document collection, because is amortization, so you'll still need the documents to
Yeah,
be stored
that
somewhere, right?
Ashish, that is again at the point of discussion. That we need to
Mm.
find a way out. I don't know how regulators look at it. Is whatever 100% you digitize, do you do? They say you should always have a copy of that. For me,
Correct.
having a copy of that in a digital format is also always a cost. So when I look at
Right.
my OPEX, I say I'm a tech-driven company, but when I start actually calculating my cost, somewhere I start, the physical and the digital play the same important thing. That the cost wise,
Right.
I don't see much of difference.
Right. Right. So, one part is where the DSAs, right? DSAs obviously in smaller cities play a very critical role because
Yes.
they are very well connected in the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, do you also see a trend where in the rural you still at least see people trying to do a self journey right now, at least initiate it or come and show interest and then drop off? For example, I've seen some places where there's a missed call number that is published, and if you call on that IVR, people call back. So do you also see people who do this kind of outreach to you all to show the interest in a loan?
Actually, this is picking up actually, especially in the remote locations where they give. We have the tech driven where they give a missed call and we call them up. And I even seen customers logging onto a website, dropping those four basic requirements and asking us to call them back for a loan.
Nice.
Okay, it's not that I mean they are no more tech driven, because when you look at the other side of the data, the e-commerce is maximum utilized at these two places, tier 3 and tier 4 cities, where people actually consume the e-commerce utilization. Okay, so people are
Right.
tech driven and they call up my call center, they talk to our customer service team, and in case if you don't respond to them within 24 hours, they tend to write to us on the social media
Hmm.
through the multiple in their language, vernacular language, they write to us. But adoption is very much, and I've seen people really going for actual genuine. I see you will find 10 calls around 50-20 calls coming in a day. In that you will find at
Wow.
least conversion is around you can say 50% conversion is there, subject to all the
That's amazing.
documentation and all that. And see, this all gives us a kind of data. What happens? This is not only just a call. This data is acclimated. A lot of analytics has been worked on this data. So I know which geography, which place, what kind of customers, what is the require as a genuine customer, or you just called up and said that, or you just wrote something on the website, or reaching us through a Twitter handle or a digital channel. So this is giving us to build a kind of data analytics. Yes,
Hmm.
and this also helps us to helps us in the expansion part. When you want to open a branch somewhere in Kurukshetra, we were in discussion in the morning with the business team that
Hmm.
Kurukshetra, they see there's a quite lot of attrition coming up, and they say yeah, there's a good business coming up in that particular belt. You can say the
Right.
habitation is growing. So these kind of data helps us to do a lot of analytics and helps us to grow our business. And second thing, the adoption, the awareness among the tier 3. We always think tier 3, tier 4 cities people are doesn't know what's happening, but they are the people
Right.
who actually know what's happening, and they're very very cautious whenever they do. I'll give you an example. They are so very cautious. They don't even share your OTP also. They tell us to take it from
Wow.
the system. They're so very cautious.
Right.
And when it comes to bank statement analysis and all that, no, they're very keen. That means they are well educated. They are well aware what's happening. So there are huge
Hmm.
awareness campaign. They are very keen on knowing what's happening in and around, and genuine also in that.
Right. Right. No, that's great. I think that's true. I think in today's digitized world, I don't think tier 3, tier 4 are any less aware than the metro city people, right? I think they're probably
Yes,
more aware.
aware. Yeah.
And I think with all the frauds that are happening, I think not sharing the OTP obviously becomes a very
Mhm.
critical aspect. So that's great. And you spoke about the data, understand data that you have. So how important is this data to understand the customer behavior across the
Mm.
journey, and also from your underwriting perspective, right? Because this is data is again very, very important information that you
Yes.
have, right? Where you can drive a lot of
Yep.
insights. So how
Mhm.
important, what is the importance that you drive from this data, right? Across the
So there,
journey.
there is three things which comes to us as of now. One is from the expansion point of view. Second thing, the delinquency. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and third thing, if I see a third thing is a more of an NPA part of it, where if and the customer's behavior, his way
Mm-hmm.
towards repaying. There is some kind of when, like, for example, I'll give a very hypothetical example where we see that customer from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock is in his office, so
Right.
he goes at sharp 9:30 from his house, reaches his office by 10 o'clock, and next leaves by 6 o'clock his office and 6 o'clock. So there is this journey what has been done, he's regularly been doing. For
Mm-hmm.
me, this kind of customer seems to be more on the genuine side, because there is no, and especially on the holidays and all that, is nowhere. When you look at the actually getting deep into his location, geolocations, or that kind of thing, what we do, kind of a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
analysis, what any fintech is doing that. Okay, which this
Right.
helps us to say that customers behave. That means this customer is more, does not come into the delinquency bucket. He's more a genuine customer. You can always give a top up. His EMIs are in place, so there is no anything which is gets any fishy kind of thing. But when you find a
Right.
customer half the time here and there, after time there, in between he doesn't read the offer, that means there is something wrong. Because if you look at his salary, end of the day, the financials what he's getting, if he's
Right.
spending more than this thing, then I will not be able to get my EMI. Then this guy is
Correct.
a delinquency customer, and he may turn NP any moment. Okay, there we
True.
start working on that. They're advising
Mm-hmm.
him, taking him. This is one from the behavior pattern, and this again, this will help me also to find out the surrounding, the with whom he is in touch. What is he? The kind of geography he is living. It
Mm-hmm.
will help me in building my business and expansion. I can think before I do an expansion there, and in case if I find, see why I'm talking more than delicacy. I mean, this is the one which actually should have a better control in the any lending company, because
True.
NPA and all that will always put your company into a different kind of this one. Then you will find your credit
Correct.
rating agency putting you down and all that. So that's where this NPA will help me. This particular behavior will help me out in delinquency, working on my NPA, early warning signals kind of thing. We start the data what we
Right.
basically we build a model where you start getting the early warning signals, not exact thing, to a level of
Mm-hmm.
okay, Dominic, this particular segment of customers tend to become an NPA in next 1 year, next 6 months. So you start working on a different kind of the business team starts working with them in a different way so that he doesn't convert into. We start giving him some kind of subsidy, or when whatever is possible within our reach, we try doing that, and so that the customer doesn't get an NPA. So the data is good for me for expansion, good for me for setting up my early warning signals, whether it is from the business point of view, delinquency point of view. And second, third thing is, this data in a long run is always good, because keeping this
Right.
data, you can do a lot of other things. This will help me to upsell, cross sell. There are multiple things which is going to come up using it. But at the end of the day, data is the one which will run the organization. With how
True.
many data points you capture, that will help me out in understanding the customer in a better way.
And that just what you just explained, Dominic, also brings to the point that digitization is not just about acquisition, right? Because the
Yes, yes,
customer life cycle with any financial company is when they take a loan, but it ends when they do the payment. So collections is an
yes.
equal part, right? And
Yep, yep.
uh, in the cycle of your relationship, you also
Mm-hmm.
have to the way you were training them, educating them
Mm-hmm.
about the importance of payments, right? And that's a bit of the human touch which will always remain, right?
Yes, yes,
That
yes.
where you have to always explain to them how to do things better, but the rest, including your collection strategy, where you are actually able to digitize that and predict who's going to
Mm-hmm.
default, right, or who is likely,
Mm-hmm.
and then guiding them on how not to do it and manage the collection. I
Mm-hmm.
think that part also becomes very, very critical in your journey, right? So
Yes, yes,
digitization is not about giving the loan, and customer
yes.
experience is not just about giving the loan, but managing their life cycle, right?
Correct, correct.
And Dominic, how do you see? You explained about Kurukshetra. That was an interesting example about a branch that you want to open there, right?
Mm.
So you read a lot about branches. With the digital coming, the branches becoming irrelevant. No, I know that the footfalls have decreased, but do you think branches will become irrelevant? Because I personally feel that they are there to stay.
No, branches can never become irrelevant now. Branches has to be there. I today, if I though I stay in Delhi, I still want to walk up to a branch when I don't get an this thing. I feel more comfortable walking up. Though I do a lot of this one, and especially the affordable segment customers. They, I mean, I seen there are certain customers from the Haryana part. They prefer to walk up to the branch. They want to go to
Right.
the branch. They want to talk to my loan officer. They want to talk to my branch manager. Okay, anything and everything, when they find there is something, though they'll have a technology, they still walk up to them. So that personal touch, and the confidence in the customer comes when you have a branch. When you don't have a branch,
Hmm.
customer, I mean, he doesn't even know what's happening in and around. I mean, and he has no, I mean, he'll be kept in some kind of dark. So physical branch is always mandatory, and it has to be part of the customer journey, especially the home loan customers, because your tendency, if customer stays with you for more than minimum to 5 years, that's a minimum, and it may
Right.
go 10 to 15 years. So without a branch, it is not. Yes, branch can be, the operating expense can be reduced in the branch by not having a very fancy branch with tech, this, that, and all that. A basic thing which can make the customer feel comfortable when he walks in, and greeting him, talking to him, and explaining him, and telling end of the day, asking him to use the e-sign and e-stamp at that point of place. I have customers
Right.
who tell me, I'll come to your branch and do a e-sign.
Right. Right.
Sure, that's how the, because Indian mentality, like, because it's a diversified country, everyone is
Correct.
not one among that, and people want to have the physical presence, and the physical touch is mandatory for the customer. They somewhere mentally feel very comfortable when somebody talks to you, when somebody walks to your house, or when they walk into a branch. So branch can never go. I mean, it cannot become an what do you call that, redundant kind of product. Branch will always be there, and rather it will get
Correct. So,
expanded. You may breed it from bigger one, you may reduce to smaller one, but you still have
mhm.
a name. You walk into that, you'll find Art Housing Finance, you'll find any other bank's name coming up. You feel, yes, there is something there. The trust comes up.
Correct. Correct. I think that's very true. The trust factor also, right? So
Yes.
while in essence, what we'll see is the digitization of the flow, so that you have a more seamless experience of
Hmm.
onboarding a customer, or collections, where you are able to digitize the payment by collecting through a Paytm, or a Google Pay, or UPI, right, or a
Hmm.
card, or cash, right. So while this digitization will happen, the human touch will always remain, is what I understand,
Yes,
right.
yes, yes, yes.
and and in this whole journey for a customer, right, that they are with you, uh, the other important thing that would be for art housing also is that, once you have acquired a customer, how do you cross sell and upsell, right? How do you keep building that relationship, and expanding that relationship, right? So how do you do that today?
Ashish, in our business, again, as I said, 10, 15 years minimum, 5 years minimum, and goes up to 15, 20 years. So during this
Right.
tenure, max to max, what we do is we give a top up loan to the customer.
Right.
Okay. Or we encourage the customers where their ROI is more, or they're not comfortable with that particular lender, ask them to do a BT and bring them back onto us and start servicing the customer. Okay, this is the max we can sell to a customer, and do some referral activities, and give them a
Correct.
better ROI, and say that, if you're this one is good, if you and try, and in case you find that customer a little bit of dicey, encourage the customer to do a foreclosure by giving a foreclosure service charges way off and all that, and
Mhm.
whenever there's an RBI hike, okay, there you help the customer to some level, not immediately increasing the BPP. I mean, BPS by whatever has been told to us. So giving the leverage to the customer, and sometimes we also help the customers. These are some things which, I mean, in case EMI bounds and all those things, we try helping the customer. These are something which I can right now. We can tell upselling and cross selling. It cannot be like a consumer durable. If you buy this and you get something else. For me,
Right.
housing finance, when he's constructing a house, I can fund you. Then after once he funding, once after 24 months, when he sees his financial track record, we start trying,
Mhm.
because, and immediately today if I build a house, immediately after 24 months I will not go for another house. Okay,
Correct.
so
Correct.
anyone for that
Correct.
matter. So we can only service the customer by giving them a better ROI. Whatever subsidies we get from the government, that directly we
Mhm.
see that we give it to them, and especially CLS was very, very successful. Credit linked, the subsidy scheme which was there, and it is still enabled now also, and it's come back, where customers to get a very
Correct.
good subsidy on the loan. So these are certain things which we try selling it to the customers. Very practically speaking, I'm not telling that I do a lot
Uh-huh.
of when we do a lot of upselling and cross selling. Yes, to some level we do. So upselling and cross-selling in our business is a little bit a challenge, but we try to keep up
Mhm.
that.
No, that's great. That's great. And I'll ask you one more question around. You spoke about sales officers, and while we're digitizing, getting them to adopt to
Yeah.
what you offer to them, right? So, any views on how do we change that? I mean, that's a question, right? I mean, we see, that while they may have the best app, we have also seen people say that, hey, I haven't downloaded the app as yet, you know. So, and then you have to actually practically sit with them, get it to download, and then say, wow, this is good. And how do you bridge that gap?
Ashish, see, there's one ground really. As a CTO, I always have a head-on with my business heads. They say that आपके ये
Right,
नहीं चल
right,
रहा है, आपके app नहीं चल रहा है, connectivity नहीं है, and I'm at a place where I can't see what's happening. But technically speaking, no, it is all the mindset. Now I want to use an app and I
right.
want to acquire a customer using technology. It takes 5 minutes. I'll give you some live examples. Okay, there is
Right,
a mandatory we have made that we should capture the live image of the customer. Okay, it is
right,
nothing but you stand in front of the customer, capture live image with your geolocation, it gets automatically pasted onto mine. Now, sometimes what happens, certain loan officers know they with a good relationship with the customer, they don't go to the customer, they sit at the branch and ask the customer to
ah,
send the photograph. And we have stopped this. They say, write to
right,
me, sir, you need to from the back end, can you upload the photographs? But it's very clearly understood, this guy is not gone to the customer. He's sitting in the office somewhere
correct,
or he's somewhere else and he can't take a live image. So adoption
right,
is a main challenge. I'll tell you, why. Every loan officer has got a best of best phones, Ashish. I've seen because we implement that MDN and we implement this policy. They got a best of best phones. Okay. And
right.
they're very good in WhatsApp. They're very good in making reels, TikTok videos,
TikToks,
selfies.
yeah,
They shoot the selfies in all the angle. Even the film stars don't shoot it. I still don't know how to take a selfie of myself. They do everything. But when it comes to my OmniFin app, Android app, no, you find the world's
Uh,
worst of worst problems coming up there. App will not
correct,
work, phone will not support, then connectivity will not come at that point of time. I've even given them an offline access. In case you don't have
right,
connectivity, you capture all the data and come back. At the time you come to connectivity, you get नहीं सर कुछ नहीं चल रहा they call me up from the customer sir मैं 1 घंटे में customer से बैठा हूँ OTP अभी तक
uh,
आया नहीं and OTP is already generated from system. It would have got, adoption. Because see, I'll tell you, it is not their problem. It is their leaders who put them under pressure and tell them, boss,
right,
end of the day, I need 10 files to be logged in. You do whatever you want. You want technology,
right,
you want thing. I want 10 files. Now these guys work on incentives. They work salary for
right,
them. Incentives is the boom. Now if they compromise on,
correct.
if they say technology, incentive is compromise. They say, sir, ye nahi chal raha hai, I'm shut my phone off, and they start doing it. So this is
Hmm.
something which I always tell everyone. Technology is the one which is going to drive going forward. Everybody is going to invest money on manpower, and the trend is that, like Ashish, to be very frank, today
Hmm.
DSA culture is gradually building up. Okay, and DSA
Right,
is coming out. They say that we will do the even the login process and give it. So you will have as a lender, you'll only have to do underwriting and disbursement. That's all. And co-lending
correct,
is another which is picking up in the market. So all this
right,
will help these guys to gradually disappear. So I always keep telling them, adopt it. Some people like it, some generations they say no, we still stick on to that. So this is a problem which cannot be resolved. It's more of a training awareness. And like sometimes they say you need to use sticks also to these guys to get things moving. Okay, hold
true,
back
true.
there. So we work with them in all the ways, all good, bad, ugly. We work with these guys. We say, end of the day, Ashish, these are the guys who are going to generate revenue for my organization. Any
True.
kind of activity, it will backfire me in a long way. So it is. I always talk to them in a good way, get things moving. I already told my team also they have a problem. OTP is not coming up. Help them out in doing it. Now I can't go to Geo and ask them, boss, OTP is not coming. Kindly help me out. I need to find an
Correct,
alternate for to give them an offline OTP. So we try bringing in
correct.
technology, helping them out. And see, we do a lot of trainings, awareness we do, and training is a big thing which is driving these guys. Okay,
Mhm.
that's where this we need to live with it. Actually, there is no end for it. I have to
Correct.
live with it, and my team has to live with it.
No, I concur with you. I think I've also seen, we've also seen on the ground that there are some who really adopt to it and very happy because
Yeah,
it's really streamlined their process.
correct.
Because by digitizing, as you rightly said, if you're
Mm.
able to reduce from 4 days to 1 day, it's actually helping them do better
Mm.
and sell more, right? But then there are others who are naturally like, why should I adopt, right? They'll find excuses to not adopt, and
Correct,
then
correct.
sometimes becomes a carrot and a stick policy, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
where
That's a policy. That's a policy we need to follow.
great, great. Karthika, I'm conscious of the time. I think this has been a very, very insightful discussion, and Dominic's really thrown some very interesting light. But it's five over 5:45. I think you'll want to open it
Yeah.
for questions, right?
Yeah.
Of course, yes. Thank you so much, first of all, to both Ashish and Dominic. Wonderful discussion, in
Sure.
fact. Yes, we actually do have a couple of questions. So let me just quickly take up the first one. The first question is, what are some of the major pain points that are there currently in the home loan digitization process?
One is, I think this is basically for documentation is always a challenge for us. Though we do a lot of other KYC, PAN card verification, civil, I mean, bureau, we still have to take a physical copy. That is where regulator has to come up and say, if you're taking a digital copy, you don't have to take a physical copy. Okay, and if you have certain things which there is no need for doing a duplication. So this process is a little bit painful to the users and to the tech team also, because I need to do a lot of capacity planning, connectivity, a lot of things comes into picture. So today we have multiple APIs, but how are you going to consume it? We consume it again. We have to still do a physical activity. That where somewhere the documentation process has to be streamlined. And if you're talking about digital, let's do only digital. Let's not have a hybrid model. If you're having hybrid model, let's decide on certain set of people. So this challenge will always be that till we adopt the technology full fledged, and the regulator comes out with a new kind of solutions.
All right. I hope that answers that question. I'll quickly take up another one. Do you have any innovative products like mortgage insurance or guarantee?
See,
Okay.
mortgage insurance is by default for us today these days. Okay, anybody taking a loan from us or subjected to go through a life insurance, then another 2 3 insurance we have tied up with the insurance companies, which we are doing, because this is not only a helpful tool for them as well as for the lender also in case any untoward incidents happens. So we tend to get back whatever the funding we have done, and so there is no problem between both the customer and the lender. So insurance is mandatory for us, and we go with that. Life insurance and even the health insurance we are concentrating, because the health insurance will tell me the lifespan in case something happens to the customer.
All right. Thank you so much, Dominic. Can we quickly get to the next question now? Is that
Yeah.
okay, Ashish, Dominic?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
All right, great. Okay, so the next question is, what kind of business rule engine is used for avoiding false positives when underwriting NTC people? Okay.
See, again, business rule engine in affordable segment cannot be very tech driven. It's a more of an hybrid model. Okay, everything cannot be technology driven. Everything, your decision underwriting cannot be done on a scores what we get from traditional and non-traditional data. We cannot get that, but there are certain things which we consider as part of our requirement. For example, if you look at the traditional data like your bureau score and KYC, that is one score. But non-traditional data, we haven't explored it. Yeah, there are certain rules we have built. For example, if a customer having this particular financials and in his family income is so much, so we give the LTV and the FOIR of this particular ratio. So is eligible for this particular value of loan with a ROI of so many percentage, and with the EMI or something for so many tenure. That kind of basic rule engines have been, but we are exploring this in a very big way. And when you talk about the avoiding false positives, I mean, that's too early for me to comment on that, because we are still working on that, anyone for that matter.
Thank you so much, Dominic. Before I take up the other questions that we have here, we actually got a couple of questions via email because they couldn't make the discussion. So I'll just quickly take up one of those. So a question that I have here is, in what ways can partnerships with digital lending platforms improve penetration of home loans?
I think that this is not, I mean, to some level it has been successful. Okay. Not to the level what we expect. Okay. Okay. So it is again, you can always say it is more that, we are exploring it and we are working on that. I cannot give you a percentage as such. Yes, that's helping us to a level where physical and manual intervention is being gradually taken off from there.
And I'll just like to add that, see, especially when you look at an affordable home loan segment, right? So this is also a slightly more high touch process that is there. So, and if you look at the sources that you have, so one is your own sourcing, then you have the DSAs, then you have other channels that normally, you get the leads, and they are being digitized. So they're kind of, not a digital partner, but they are all digitized in the sense you get referral leads, right? So there are people who give you leads, but they're all now trying to digitize. That was not a digital process; it was a phone call away, right? So now those processes, I think, also we see getting digitized to source more leads. So there's digitization, but it's not just about digital partnership, because this is where the realtors will give you a lead, right?
Yeah.
That someone is coming to buy a house, so that's how it works.
Thank you so much, Ashish and Dominic. Okay, so I will quickly go to the next question here by Chetan. They ask, is there any service available where property documents can be verified with SRO of the particular location? Okay.
Because this is more of a business related question.
Yeah.
I have never come across I come into picture when there's an API coming into picture. But yes, I've heard my team doing this, especially the FCU and the credit team, which always does this activity. They start checking on that, and there are, I think, certain open websites from where they get this data and start cross verifying whether it is anything for that matter, whether it is your CRO number or RARA number, whatever it, they do that. It's more of a manual process which we follow, and it's part of your underwriting and part of an SU, so that there is no any kind of litigation coming up going forward.
Right.
All right. I think the next question is also kind of on a business perspective. So I'll ask another question that again we got from the emails. Another question is, with more AI and ML technology coming into the market, how are consumer engagement patterns changing?
See, AI, ML, AI is where when you have a huge amount of data, okay, then only you can use artificial intelligence, because if you don't have a data, you cannot use it. And again, ML also comes into picture when you use a huge amount of data and you start running multiple algorithms. So one of the examples what we talk about, as I was telling Ashish also, we are building some early warning signals. So that to work on the delinquency part, to see that the customer's behavioral pattern, his payment, how is he going to repay my loan, the NPA kind of thing, branch expansion. These are the things, certain amount of data which we have captured, and using that data, there is a lot of AI and ML algorithms which is run on that, and there's a set of analytical team which sits and works on it and gets it. And second thing is what you said, when you look at artificial intelligence, we are used, rather than saying artificial intelligence, we are using an RPA process, where certain of our process have been eradicated from the manual process and brought in. Like, for example, OCR reading for a PAN card, OCR reading for certain bank statements, where you don't have to have manual intervention. The system reads it and says, this is the PAN card, this is the value, and it gets uploaded in one particular thing. So there are certain places we have brought in. So artificial intelligence is playing a very important role for us, but subjected to, you should have quite an amount of data for that, and it should be properly utilized. And again, machine learning is something which you build what you want. If I have to build a business model, then I need to have amount of data, then I run an algorithm using machine learning skill, then I get a particular product, and that product is moved in the market, and that's how you work on it. Yes, AI and ML adoption is in a huge way, in a larger way. Today, today everything is being done except few things. The next business market buzz in our market will be AI and ML. That's going to be the one which is going to help us out in the business.
And I just like to add that I think AIML, I think Dominic covered one part is obviously that, on the collection side, right? Because how do you reduce your delinquencies, right? How do you predict who is going to, default, right? That again is a big area, right? To predict and then be able to reach out to the person at the right time to train, to kind of guide them to ensure that they don't default, right? And then also feed the defaulters back into your model of underwriting, to ensure that you have lesser number of defaults as you go. You don't lend to people a certain segment where you default a lot, right? So uh, in the industry today, in the financial services industry, if you look at it in the lending space specifically, with smaller ticket loans, you see a lot of AIML doing the underwriting, right? So there are a lot of underwriting a lot of the fintechs are actually leveraging that in their underwriting engine to kind of do a quick disbursement, especially in the smaller tickets, the sachet size loans that we talk about, right? So you see a lot of
That's
AIMLs used in
especially,
that space.
I think, consumer and peer loans, which is really when AI is playing a very, very important role.
Yes, thank you. I think we have actually come to an end of all the questions, and we're also running out of time. But yes, this was truly a very wonderful discussion. I got to learn a lot from this discussion today, and I can vouch for our audience as well. I saw a lot of thumbs ups coming in, and I'm really glad that we have such an interactive set of audience here. But before I wrap the session up, once again, thank you so much, Dominic and Ashish. I'm glad that you could make it for the session. But any closing remarks, Dominic, if you'd like to go first?
I would like to say that hope my I mean whatever I said was able to justify as per the topic given to us, and to a level I could say whatever I could be being a tech guy, okay, relating to business. Hope I've justified when calling me on the panel,
Of
and thank you
course,
so
of
much for
course.
that. It was a really wonderful session, Ashish and me. I think a lot of things which we I learned from him also has really made things. And the questions whatever asked, that also is an eye opening for us. That will always I'll start looking at how can I digitize that, helping my business team to do it better. So all the certain things. It's a pleasure actually talking to you all.
Thank you so much, Dominic. I hope we can have you in another panel as soon as possible.
My pleasure being part of it. Okay.
Ashish, if you'd like to add something.
No, I think thanks. This was a very. I think I got to learn a lot. I think Dominic threw some very nice insights, and um, the audience questions were also very very interesting. So it's always learning to be in these panels, right? So thanks. It was a good opportunity here.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. Once
Thank
again,
you.
Dominic and Ashish, thank you so much. And to the audience as well. Thank you for joining us. With that, I call this officially a wrap. Have a nice day, everyone. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you.